John and Sam in Japan, the international comedy podcast.
Theme tune time. Let's go, John. John and Sam in Japan. John and Sam in Japan. John and Sam in Japan.
I told you there's no way I'm singing.
Come on. John and Sam in Japan. John and Sam in Japan. Yeah. John and Sam in Japan.
Never gonna happen. And put your clothes back on, it's just weird.
Never.
John and Sam in Japan, the international comedy podcast.
Welcome to the show. He is John.
And here's Sam,
And this is John and Sam in Japan.
the international comedy podcast. This is take 2 of the intro.
I made John... John told what I deemed to be an inappropriate story. So I had to delicately suggest that we don't use that particular one.
Yeah.
If you want to hear the intro that was deemed inappropriate, you'll have to become friends with John and catch him when he's not standing near a policeman.
Yes.
Anyway, what have you been up to?
So, yesterday I was talking to a friend in England who I haven't seen for a long, long time. We used to live together in Japan, and we were chatting on Facebook Messenger. And then when I got home, my wife's friend was at our house, and I haven't seen her for a couple of years. But in a weird sort of coincidence that I happened to talk to both these people yesterday, when me and my wife started dating, we were on a double date with them.
Oh, right. So the guy you know in England and...
Yeah, who I haven't seen for ages, or talked to for ages.
And they just coincidentally appeared in your life again on the same day.
Yeah.
And it was a double date, so I assume it didn't end as well for them as it did for you.
No, it was...
Or did he have a lucky escape?
Oh, no, she's a great girl.
No, I didn't mean from her, I just meant from marriage in general.
Oh, right. Well, yeah. No, it was quite an insane date, because me and him... obviously, at that point, I had no idea that I was going to get married and have kids with this woman. Just thought it was a bit of fun, so we ended up getting quite drunk, and we're in a pub, and he managed to acquire a stuffed koala toy, which he
When you say acquire, it very much sounds like stole.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. He didn't buy it. I don't know where it came from. But he pulled the head off it, and he proceeded to walk around the pub, interrupted people's conversations by putting this koala's head over somebody's shoulder as they were talking to somebody else, which me and my wife found absolutely hilarious. The other girl didn't find it quite as funny. And then we ended up in a family restaurant at about 6 o'clock in the morning. And
So it was a heavy night.
Oh,
Your wife is... she's going somewhere 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, well, I think she must have thought I was a keeper. But he kept making this girl cry because every time...
He was making her cry.
Yeah, he's making her cry. I think she was just really tired. I think she wanted to go home, but she was just being polite, Japanese style.
Please let me go home.
But he basically did the opposite. Every time the waiter or waitress came over to the table, he would say to them in Japanese, please help me, I'm being held hostage by this woman. But my wife found it hilarious at her friend's expense.
It's good to see that women are the same as men, laughing at their friends' pain.
Yeah. So anyway, how about what's on the show today?
Well, we've got a really, really busy show. We have an interview with Mishel Sabbah, Israeli comedian. We have some stand-up comedy from Andy Erikson from America. And we have a brand new section of the show. But first, this.
This is J&S in J News.
So what have you got for us?
Yeah, just the one story this episode. It's a cracker.
Nice. It's not a Christmas story, is it?
No, but it does involve a bit of religion. What if I said to you, what would be your worst nightmare? What do you think it would be?
Waking up without a penis.
Yeah, that would definitely be up there.
With my wife stood over me with a pair of scissors.
Yeah, more likely than some people might think.
Yes.
Well, one of mine would be waking up and being possessed by a devil.
Is that something that you've contemplated before?
Well, no, it's not something that I regularly think about, but I think the movie The Exorcist scarred me when I was a child. There's a story here. It says, man performs exorcism on a train as possessed woman screams devil in front of commuters. Which country do you think this story's from?
Oh, America.
Yeah, that would have been my first guess too. But actually, this was in Mexico City.
Oh.
Yeah. The story says, a smartly dressed man performed an exorcism on a busy train as a woman screamed devil in front of shocked commuters.
Excellent.
Footage of the bizarre incident was captured by a fellow passenger travelling on the underground in Mexico City. The video, which has been seen more than 1 million times, was posted with the title, When You Find Yourself in the Middle of an Exorcism on the Metro.
Nice.
It shows a man in a suit apparently praying in the name of Jesus Christ to free the allegedly possessed woman in front of him. I'm loving the use of the word allegedly in that sentence. It says, the man can be heard saying, in the name of Jesus, leave! And you need to leave. In the name of Jesus, you need to go.
Sounds like my mum.
And often my wife.
Yeah. Why is your wife telling me to leave?
Well, I think we all know why.
Yeah.
The woman seems to agree that she's possessed and says, yes, that, get out, get out. Yes, one does agree one is possessed.
Thank you for noticing.
She then begins to lash out at the man who's trying to exorcise her, hitting him with a large umbrella.
Right.
No reports of whether she was making lightsaber noises or not at that time.
Right.
It says the man is not deterred, however, and carries on telling the seemingly confused woman, I forgive you.
Excellent.
That would confuse me. I forgive you.
I think being on the trains in Tokyo, I performed a few exorcisms myself.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, just get out. Too busy. Too many weirdos.
Leave now in the name of Jesus, leave.
I forgive you.
It says the woman, who has not been identified, repeats devil over and over again, while some of the passengers on the train can be seen collecting their things and moving down the carriage.
So was it just a ploy to get an empty seat, I wonder?
According to local media, this is a common scene on the trains in Mexico City.
Really? Might have to get myself a ticket to Mexico City then and get rid of all my demons.
That was J&S&J News.
What were you like when you were at school? Did you get straight A's or were you a fool? John and Sam want to know. They'll feature your story on the show. Tales from teachers are welcome too. You can send the email from the loo. Ring, ring goes the bell. Now time for a new section of the show. The title of this segment is called School Days. We got this idea from last time where John was telling his story about drunkenly taking an exam, and we thought most people have good, funny stories about their school days. So this is an opportunity for you guys to write in and let us know what crazy things did you get up to when you were at school. And this can be when you were at school, or maybe even if you're a teacher now and your students are behaving bizarrely, let us know what's going on. We had actually, just coincidentally, someone sent in...
Yeah. So it's a student in Japan writing their homework in English, and the listener called Dean sent it to us and says, Sam, is this a true story? So would you like to hear it?
Yeah, I would. I'm intrigued.
So once upon a time, there was a man who loved cats very much. He had cats of all different sizes, but he always loved a fat cat named Sam. The man was with Sam all the time, at breakfast, lunch and dinner, but Sam had one problem. He was too fat. The man was worried that he might be as large as a cow, so he decided to make a diet plan for Sam. So Sam's diet started. Sam used to eat pizza, but the man gave him salad instead. Sam didn't try to eat for 4 hours. The man was getting upset and finally yelled to Sam, Eat. Sam began to cry so loud, so the man gave up and apologised to Sam. Sam forgave him. After that, Sam tried to eat salad and began to like it, and in 1 week, he got a slim body, and they all lived happily ever after. The end. Okay, and now time for an interview with Israeli comic Mishel Sabbah, who came and met me and Sam on a rainy Sunday afternoon in a karaoke box in Tokyo for a change.
You're always there a rainy Sunday afternoon in a karaoke box in Tokyo. Let's be honest, we did 4 interviews in one day.
Yeah, we did. And we were very fortunate because Michelle got lost because of bad organisation. But I went out into the rain and found him, and so enjoy the interview.
Michelle, thanks for coming to meet us today. How
Thank
you
you
doing?
for having me. It's rainy, I got a little bit wet. It's all fine.
Yeah, and you just sat there and listened to our interview with Christian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
that was
very
good.
interesting.
So we're still in a karaoke box in Tokyo.
Knocking them out today, aren't we? Yeah.
One after the other, yeah.
So you're from Israel.
Yes.
You started doing comedy there.
Yes.
What's the comedy scene like over in Israel?
Well, it's larger than here in Tokyo. We definitely have many more comedians or like wannabe comedians.
Is it like 7 nights a week you can go to a club?
No. It's basically we have 3 comedy clubs, so there is the option, but those comedy clubs don't let anyone go in.
Right.
Like you have to be at a certain level to get in. And if you're just talking about open mics, you have maybe one. Like we have 2 open mics a week, both in the same day.
Right.
And
That seems like bad planning.
and every open mic you have like maybe 80 people signing up.
Wow. Right.
I
And
know
how
choose
many? Yeah. How many?
So
slots
when
do
you
they
just
have?
start out, you get maybe 4 minutes once a month.
When you first started performing, you were getting these short spots. How long
Yeah.
did it take you to kind of progress to the longer stuff?
When you get your like good 5 minutes together, then you start to be invited to more like bar shows and stuff like that. And normally in the bars you get 10 minutes. So you jump from 5 minutes to 10 minutes.
And you think, fucking hell. I need to write another 5.
Yeah.
It's a lot of crowd work.
Hey!
Which is, by the way, for me, it's really hard to do crowd work.
Yeah.
Because I don't really see any of them. It's like, oh, you with the white shirt. No, I cannot say that.
So what Michelle's referencing there is that he's visually impaired. So tell us about that.
Well, visually impaired, it means that if everything is sunny and I'm out and I can pretty much see, but if I'm in a club at night and everything is dark and there are a bunch of lights in my face, I cannot see anything.
Okay. So you're performing blind, basically.
Yeah, I actually, when I started to perform, people can see in my eyes that something is wrong.
Sure.
It's like I don't have like perfect eyes. And when I started, one of the tips that I read in one of the books I read was that you have to address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people will like whisper about it and not really listen to you. So I had to say something about it. And what's the best way to address it is, in my mind, was to take it to the extreme. Comedy is the extreme. So instead of going up and being like, oh, I cannot see you very well, I was like, I can't fucking see anything. So I just went up. I got a cane, like a blind person cane, and which I didn't use in real life. But I was like, I have to go up on stage with this cane.
It's like a prop.
Yeah. And I went up with this cane on stage, and then you can literally hear all the audience go like, oh, fuck. Are we supposed to laugh at him or not laugh at him? Is it like, there was this wall that you have to break because people sometimes they would feel bad laughing because we don't want to laugh on we want to laugh. Anyway, it was difficult. Then I found out that I went on stage, I let everyone sink into the awkwardness.
Yeah. Good.
And then I say nice to see you all.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh, he's... And sometimes, I know what audience I have. I learned this the hard way. Sometimes I would say this and nobody laughs.
Right.
And I go, oh, man. They are, uptight. They need to... And then I had another joke that I say after that breaks them. I said that, oh, I know what you're probably thinking. We've never seen a blind stand-up comedian. Well, that's fine, me neither. Fine. And in the second joke, they all crack up, and then I was like, okay, now it's okay. But you have to kind of let the audience know that it's okay to laugh.
Yeah. So do you think that because it's unique, you were easier to move up the ladder quicker than...
I think I took advantage of my disability because not only for once I'm much more memorable than any
definitely.
other of the comedians that could go up and like say their name and then there's nothing unique about them.
Yeah.
Second of all, no one can steal my jokes. No one can go up on stage and say, "Oh, I cannot see it." Like, so I had kind of unique material.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know this, but I created a group in Israel that I was a manager of, and we were an act that I'm a blind guy. I met another stand-up comedian who is a deaf girl. So yeah.
Is she really deaf as well, or is she?
She's like she has hearing aids and stuff, but without them she cannot really hear. She does stand-up also in Israel, so I called her. And then there is another guy who was doing stand-up for like maybe 20 years, and he's in a wheelchair. So I was like, "Hey, you come on here."
It's like the Avengers.
Exactly. And then I was like, okay, because I wanted to like graduate from the 10-minute spots of bars to more. So I said, okay, if I collect like 4 people, like Pokemon, then I can make a 1 hour show where each one does 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I had the wheelchair guy, I had the deaf girl, and then I needed one more. But unfortunately, there were no more fuck-ups in the Israeli scene. So I was like, okay, I knew this woman who was 61 years old. So okay, she's the old lady.
It's the biggest handicap you can find.
I mean, if you go on the bus, all of us get the first seat, right? So it's the same.
It was either that or a pregnant woman, and she's only good for 9 months.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, you gave both, get pregnant again.
Yeah.
Fast.
I can help you out.
So what happened to the group then? You finished now, or they still?
Well, now I've kind of like
the old lady died.
No, actually, she's doing really good. Actually, I had kind of a little fight with the deaf girl. Like she didn't listen. I know. Because I want to graduate to longer sets, so now I'm going to do a half and a half comedy show with another guy.
Right.
So I will do half an hour and he will do half an hour.
Oh, nice.
And who's the guy you're doing that with?
That's Mike Kroll.
Okay.
Mike Kroll.
That's a guy I met actually because he did a few of the stories in my Perfect Liars Club in Israel.
Ah, yes. So you're the nice segue. You're the you're the leader, the runner, the manager,
MC, the host
of the Perfect Lies in Israel.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was exposed to Perfect Liars Club here in Tokyo. When I was here, I performed at one of the shows here, and I really liked the idea, liked the concept, and I was like, wow, I have to. It's so cool. I have to do this in Israel because we don't have anything like this in Israel.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, we have only there are many nice shows here in Tokyo. Like in Israel, we only have like stand up and music, and that's about it, I guess.
Yeah.
So. And politics, right? But I don't want to do this.
I didn't know about the politics bit.
Yeah, that's very popular on TV all the time.
So the Perfect Lies there, how is the Perfect Lies in Israel different to the Tokyo setup?
Well, first of all, it was in Hebrew.
Okay.
So the style is a little bit different. The people, Israelis generally, they know how to spot a liar.
Right.
Because they are themselves the biggest liars. So they know all the tricks. So I thought it would be interesting to see if they could really catch a liar or not.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, they couldn't.
Really?
Yeah, only one time did they catch the liar, and that was a show that we did in English.
Right.
So actually, the audience members were kind of like half from England, half from America and stuff. So yeah, Israelis are actually kind of bad at spotting liars, I guess.
And obviously you're living in Japan, but you're running the Israeli Perfect Lies. So how does that work?
I'm not living here. I'm visiting.
Okay. You're here a lot.
Is that for integration?
Yeah. You're not catching me out like that.
So you said obviously the Israeli scene is much, much bigger, but what do you think of the Tokyo comedy scene? Do you think it's a good scene, or do you think...
I think it's a great scene. A bit, like, it can make you a little bit spoiled, because the audiences here are really generous with laughs. Like in Israel, sometimes
John's not found that.
No, but like I'm just comparing it to Israel. Sometimes in Israel, people are so confrontational. They come to the show to see if you can make them laugh, not like to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like military style, It's like make me laugh now. Let's see you. I think in Japan the English speaking audiences are so thirsty for English entertainment.
Yeah.
So they don't really care what you say as long as you say something and it's in English. And it's like, oh, nice, and they laugh.
Japanese TV.
You mentioned the roast battle.
Yeah.
So I know you perform. You definitely done one. I saw you there.
Yeah.
How many have you done total?
Oh, that's going to be my second one.
So your second one's coming up.
Yeah.
How do you approach them? Do you take it very seriously? You put a photo of your opponent on your mirror and stare at him in the morning?
I stalk them.
Yeah.
No, I mean the first time I did it, it was against Anna.
Yeah.
And it was really friendly. We had a 2-hour Skype talk, and we kind of tipped each other like, what can you say about me, or what are my facts and what are your facts?
Yeah.
And I got some stuff from it, and then I came up with a really original jokes that I didn't think she would guess.
Yeah.
And she didn't. Yeah. And now it's less communication, but more like just I see Hager all the time doing
Hager,
shows. Yeah.
So Hager was the guest on episode 1 of this podcast.
Yes. Which I really listen to a lot of times to find out material.
Well, you should ask Sam for the outtakes, because
I give you some inside info.
Yeah.
So are you ready? Are you prepared for it?
Yeah, I think I am.
How do you feel because obviously with a disability, people with the roast battle, it's a target. People can take the
but that's what I thought in the first time.
Yeah.
And I prepared a lot of comebacks, especially for if she addresses this.
Yeah.
And she didn't.
Yeah. Did she? So none of her jokes were aimed at that.
No, none of them. And all of my good comebacks were
completely wasted.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember any of them now?
Of course, they are saved for Hager.
Well, we won't ask you to disclose them then.
And also, I didn't know. Were you joking when you said have you got a picture of your enemy you stick it on the mirror to look at it? You just said that. I didn't
That's what Rocky did.
Yeah. But I was like, you don't take the piss out of the fact.
I know. I'm assuming he's got bright bathroom.
I
am a celebrity. Thanks to Mishel Sabbah for coming down and meeting us and having a chat. If you want to find out more about where he performs, you can go to our website, johnandsaminjapan.com. Now time for a word from our sponsor.
You live in Japan, but wish you were back home? Get down to Mr. Disco's, Roppongi's premier nightclub and bar. We only speak English. I'm not sure about you, but I like my shoes. The Japanese are always taking their shoes off, but here at Mr. Disco's we keep our shoes on. Come on down to Mr. Disco's, where it feels like you never left home.
Yo, Johnny McBee and Sammy O.T. Two Brits took a shit over a cup of tea. Probably a spot of milk and a crumpet, please. But there's something else cooking in the kitchen. Could someone answer the burning question?
Okay, and now it's time for this episode's burning question, which was, what food rules do you have? And we had quite a few replies to this on Facebook.
Yeah, it was a hot topic.
Yeah. So the first was from a man called Andrew. I don't know if he's from England or not, but he says, I had a mate who would smell his food before each bite. Didn't matter if he was eating a sandwich or using a knife and fork. Before each mouthful, he'd give it a little sniff. It was quite off-putting. That would be highly disturbing, I think.
That would be, having dinner with him would be so off-putting because the anticipation of the next sniff would be killing you. You wouldn't be able to concentrate on anything else.
Imagine during the winter months when he's got a cold or a runny nose. Yeah, I had a friend in Australia. I lived in Australia for a bit, and he was an English guy, and he just used to sniff stuff, like walk into a room and pick up a cushion.
It was like his hobby.
Yeah, well, no, it's just a habit, and he'd catch himself doing it and he'd apologise, but he'd sit down in a pub and he'd pick up his beer mat and just have a quick sniff, and it's.
He might be related to Joachim Low.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was another guy got in touch, Bob from America. Bob said, I won't eat anything if it's past the expiration date, not even 1 day past.
Right, that's a bit... Well, that's, capitalist culture for you, written all over it.
Yeah. Bob must be loaded.
Yeah.
What caught my eye, actually, for this was a Facebook post. John replied to him on Facebook with a very sympathetic answer. He said, that is mental. Bob replied, oh, I'm aware of that, but I just can't stop. I can't stop myself following that rule. And the wife doesn't like it.
Yeah. And the millions of starving people all around the world. They're probably not too...
Yeah, it's Bob's fault.
Yeah.
Any others?
Yeah, so we had Dean. Dean sent through quite a list.
Is this Dean from earlier?
Dean from earlier. Yep. He says, don't eat from my plate. Don't share my cutlery. Don't bite food, then offer me it. Don't bite from my food and expect me to continue eating it. And if you're not my daughters, make sure you follow the above or I'll fork you.
Yeah, I saw that one on Facebook, and I asked him, is fork a typo? And he said, not if you touch my food.
When I was growing up, one of my friend's dads is a chef. He's half Italian, half French, and he once stabbed me in the hand with a fork because he made me
because
a
he's
steak.
an angry chef.
Yeah, well, he made a nice steak, and I asked him if schoolboy area of saying, "Can I have some ketchup?"
I'm not sure. Seems like an overreaction to me.
Well, yeah.
Perhaps a simple no would have been better.
Yeah.
From Dean's long list of rules there, the one that stood out to me was don't bite from my food and expect me to continue eating it. Yeah. Which prison he's been living in. There was one more from Paul in England. He has one very simple rule. Whenever there's food around, his rule is that it won't keep.
Yep, good rule.
Assuming Paul is a bit of a fat bastard. How about you?
Me? No,
yeah,
not really.
How about you? Do you have any food rules?
No, I don't think so. Growing up, it was always the starving children in Africa. Make sure you eat everything. I'm not that bothered. Yeah, how about you?
No, I don't have any food rules really when it comes to eating. I'll consume whatever's put in front of me most of the time. But my wife has a very strict, unsurprisingly, food rule when it comes to food preparation. She insists that we use separate chopping boards for raw meat and vegetables and fruit, probably quite sensibly.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely sensibly.
However, because I don't like washing up very much, whenever she's in the house, I ignore this rule completely.
And she'll never find out until she gets salmonella.
John and Sam in Japan. One is funny, one is funny looking. John and Sam in Japan. One of them is funny, one is funny looking. Which is which? You decide.
Okay, and now it's time for some comedy from Andy Erikson, a comedian based in the US. She's been on TV, she's won awards, and she finished third on Last Comic Standing on NBC. I think you guys are going to enjoy this a lot.
super annoying, right, guys? Right? Like, I have a nerdy friend, and he's always asking me super nerdy questions, you know? Like, the other day, he was like, hey, what's your favorite element? I'm like, I don't care. He's like, come on, what's your favorite element? So I punched him in the face. I was like, the element of surprise! I love the Bible, just kidding. But I was reading it. No, I wasn't. But the Bible is great. No, it's not. But no, I like the Bible. I don't. Shit! Okay. I think the story Noah's Ark is a really cool story. Like, that's like the coolest story in the Bible. But I think I would have done it differently, you know? Like, if I was Noah and God gave me the power to control animals, I wouldn't have done what Noah did, you know? Like, if I was Noah, I would have been like, bring me all the beavers! You know? Like, we're building a dam! Okay, here's my impression of a valley girl that's into geography. Okay, valley girl into geography. Okay. So, like, the equator is, like, laterally 0 degrees. Like, laterally. So I love Santa, right? But I'm kind of pissed at him because of the way he treats penguins, right? Like, Santa has the ability to make animals fly, right? And he's up there with the penguins, and the penguins are like, come on, we want to fly. And he's like, screw you, you'll never fly, you know? And they were like, we have wings. He's like, no. So what he does, he just imports reindeer from Canada, right? And that's not cool. I don't know if you know this, but Canada is like the North Pole's Mexico, right? Right? So the penguins are pissed. You know, they're up in arms, but they can't show it. You know? So I told that joke a couple weeks ago, and a guy came up to me after the show and was like, just so you know, penguins don't live in the North Pole. And I'm like, yeah, either does Santa. Oh, man. Okay, I'll do my sheep joke. I know you guys are like, when's she gonna do her sheep joke? Okay, so there's the sheep, right? And the sheep's like, I'm a sheep, you know? And then there's the shepherd, and he's like, I'm a shepherd, right? And the sheep's like, stop pushing me around, you know? And the shepherd's like, what? And the sheep's like, stop pushing me around, you know? And the shepherd's like, what? You know? And the sheep's like, stop pushing me around, you know? And the shepherd's like, what? And the sheep's like, you heard me.
Andy Erikson there, great stuff. If you want to find out more about her, you can visit her website, andyerikson.com. So that just leaves me to say thanks to Mishel Sabbah for coming down and having a chat with us. And of course, thanks one more time to Andy Erikson. You can find links to all of their stuff at our website, johnandsaminjapan.com. Also, I got a little bit of a recommendation. I came across a podcast by a couple of British guys. It's called the Tom and Jack podcast. If you like our show, I really think you'd like their show. They're funny, lots of good segments, little jingles. Yeah, I think it's a definite recommendation from me.
Right. So if you don't like our show, you should still go listen to theirs anyway.
Well, if you don't like our show, what are you doing listening into the 30th minute, you madman?
Or woman.
Or woman. No,
Probably my missus just trying to find out what I've been saying about her.
Skipping through.
So, well, yes, if you want to get in contact with us to share your school day stories, any news stories, if you want to submit your own stand-up, or if you want to answer next episode's burning question, which is, who is the most famous person you've met, and were they nice or were they nasty?
Yeah. Looking forward to a little bit of juicy gossip.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay.
Catch you later. That's a good story, but I'm not sure about it. Are we going to go with that, really?
Well, yeah, probably not.
John and Sam in Japan, the international comedy podcast.